Consider the possibility that your progress is being sabotaged by the very people you are trying to provide for. You're moving at full speed until the momentum hits a dead stop. Your family and friends often become the friction that halts your ascent, creating a choice between your career and your conscience. We treat our professional lives like a series of skirmishes. Every deadline is a hill to take. Every competitor is an opponent to be neutralized. The modern hustle demands we view our environment through a purely combative lens. This constant state of war creates a vacuum. By focusing entirely on the objective, you gradually sever the ties to the people who actually built your foundation. The mentor's advice and the partner's support are treated as distractions rather than assets. Modern winning is designed to be a lonely experience, forcing us to trade our personal support structures for a specific, narrow definition of achievement. This trade-off is best observed on the ancient, dust-filled plains of Kurukshetra. It is a legendary battlefield where two massive armies stood ready to decide the fate of a civilization. Arjuna stood at the front of his line. He was a master of his craft, a warrior who spent decades refining a single, lethal purpose. He was the perfect instrument for the task at hand. He prepared to give the order to attack. But as he looked across the field, the clarity of the mission shattered. The opposing army consisted of his own lineage. He recognized the faces of his teachers, his grandfather, and his brothers. These were the people who had raised him, now standing as the targets he was required to destroy. He realized that the victory he had trained for required him to burn down his own history. To win the war, he had to lose his family. Arjuna's grip fails. The legendary weapon in his hands suddenly carries a weight that exceeds his physical strength. He begins to shake, paralyzed by the cost of his own competence. The warrior persona dissolves. He is left as an exhausted man staring at a price tag he can no longer afford to pay. He questions the logic of the entire endeavor. A victory that leaves the victor entirely alone is just a different form of defeat. This diagram illustrates a specific kind of debt. Every hour spent sharpening the spear is an hour stolen from the people who taught him how to hold it. The central achievement node grows by siphoning energy directly away from the foundational nodes of family and inner peace. When those support nodes are drained, the entire system becomes structurally hollow. Without the weight of those relationships to anchor it, the achievement node loses its balance and falls into the void. Arjuna's hesitation was a response to this systemic reality. He saw that his success model had reached a point where further progress would result in a total emotional collapse. We face the same mathematical crisis in every modern office. The physical armor is gone, but the choices remain identical. You are constantly choosing between the promotion and the dinner table. You are prioritizing the growth of a bank account while allowing your internal stability to atrophy. The modern war for success is fought over your own psychological bandwidth. It is a struggle to maintain the mental space required to exist outside of your professional obligations. We are pressured to follow Arjuna's path, to see our connections as obstacles to our goals, forcing a choice between status and humanity. Society views a pause as a sign of failure. If you hesitate on the threshold of a major goal, you are often labeled as someone who lacked the killer instinct to finish the job. Dropping the weapon is an act of conscious will. Arjuna's choice to stop was a moment of profound clarity regarding the direction of his life. It takes significant courage to look at a path you have walked for decades and decide that the destination is no longer worth the journey. Real power lies in the capacity to pause and calculate the fallout of your momentum. We find strength in conscious assessment, the ability to feel the impact of our choices before we make them. Before you commit to any new pursuit, you must define your boundaries. You need to know exactly which parts of your life are off limits for sacrifice. Before you attempt to win the world, you must first have the courage to ask yourself exactly what you are about to lose.